All right, we're live. So today we've got Ivan, we've got
Oh,
Jake Dunlop from CIG, Star Citizen.
hey,
Welcome.
thanks for us. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, sir. Do you wanna talk a little bit how we know each other and how you got your start, etc.
Yeah, I guess well, we met at one of the good old Nomon events years ago in
Yeah,
Australia, didn't we?
yeah,
I saw.
CG.
I think I saw you. I was in a group with a couple of my students, I guess, from AIE, and then and I saw you going around to everyone,
Yeah.
just talking shit to everyone. But that was great. But yeah, I guess we've been on and off freelancing, working separately for a little while. I think we got close to almost working together sometimes, but not fully, I guess. And then for a couple of years, I've moved over to the UK and been working at CIG, working on Star Citizen. So I
Yep.
guess that's it for me. Yeah,
Making YouTube videos for
yeah, working on space.
making
And I
space.
pretty much converted from a hard surface artist or environment artist to a nebula artist at Star Citizen. So
So like
pretty big change, but
skybox.
it's cool. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Skyboxes and all volumetrics that you'll see in the game. You can like fly through like VDBs essentially,
Yeah.
just
Um,
volume files.
so most of your work's done in Houdini, right? Is that?
Yeah, Houdini and in the engine because you'll have to do the lighting, materials, and all this sort of stuff for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, we were actually having a discussion about Houdini recently. I was like,
yeah.
that software is like it's expensive. It's like,
It can do anything. That's the thing.
can it?
It's got so much potential. You could do anything you want in it.
Mm.
I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could replace a modeling software with Houdini. Although I just don't know how fast it would be. Like if you compare like Maya to Houdini speed modeling, it's of course much better in Maya. That's what it's made for. But technically, you can model a lot of things in Houdini if you wanted to.
I feel like the thing with like Houdini is it's basically you've got a lot of it's kind of like the thing it's like sharpening the axe before chopping down the tree. You're spending a lot of like time up front to get everything
Yeah.
working, and then like once it's actually set up, that's when like the speed happens, right?
Yeah, it's like you can kind of make tools for yourself and then use the tools which make you create the content faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what for you, like, I guess, you've done a lot of work in studio. You've also done a lot of work kind of remote. How does that for you like kind of differ, like in terms of just I guess like in terms of what do you feel like is the biggest difference between working in a studio and working like remotely?
Um it's I think it's literally like the same thing as if you're comparing doing like if you're sitting there in a class of like for university learning 3D or you're watching like a YouTube tutorial or something. There's a pretty big difference where if you're there in the studio or in the class, you've got people around you that you can talk to immediately, ask questions if you need to, and you've also got that pressure from them. So it's not just like it's not anything like necessarily bad, but it helps keep you like your mind in the work when you're in the office. I think compared to if you're at home, you can have other distractions and like, oh shit, the couch is right there, man. I feel like sitting down or something.
Is that something you do? Is that something you do at
It's not
home?
something I do. I feel like I'm pretty good now, but yeah, if I was like freelancing and I didn't have a strict timeline that I have to like get up start working, finish work at this time. Yeah, when I'm freelancing, I kind of I'm able to do the work whenever I feel like it, so I don't have that pressure. And then I'm like, well, I'll just do an hour or something, and then I'll do an hour here and an hour here, and it's like a little bit more messy. And I'm sure it's not good. It's probably not good long term. You know, I don't know what you guys do. If you guys are just like, hey, set like you have to do 8 hours for this day or something. Like, is that what you guys do?
What about? I don't. Well, I'll let Ivan go first. Ivan, you wanna take it?
I think if you start, like, if you're new to a studio, like completely new, or like new to working with art or any type of anything in the game industry, is like working remote as your first thing might be not so good. It's probably good if you have, like, years and years of experience working in studios. Then you have like a routine. You know what to do. You're very comfortable in your role. But you really do miss out that little part of, like, getting to know people, getting to know more about how to work and get direct feedback. It's different from like feedbacking someone over the shoulder in a studio, rather than speaking through Slack and paint on people's screens. Like you don't get the same kind of feeling or information, in my opinion. But it kind of depends on your personality as well. Like if you are a person that really don't like to mingle or talk to people, or have breaks, or you're a very focused individual, like maybe working from home is good. But still, after working from home for like years, like I think we've been working from home for like about, at least me, for like maybe 2 years now, 2.5 years. In the beginning, I felt, I can do this forever. I can work from home forever. And then after 2 years, I want to get the fuck out of my apartment. I can't stay here anymore.
Yeah.
So you do miss the studio vibe, and people, colleagues, just go out for lunch and have some sort of human contact.
I think like I agree. Like it's kind of hard for me to really speak on it due to like I've always kind of at this point worked from home.
You've been in the studio in previous freelancing jobs, right?
Yeah, like I've been in a studio, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like the same. It wouldn't be like a big game studio. It's like a very small indie team, and I don't really compare it like the same. I didn't have anyone else that was like on the subject matter. It was just me, so it's kind of hard to collaborate, I find, with people that it was architecture. It wasn't games. It was architecture.
Yeah.
So. But
when I was working on Hyperjam, there was only 4 of us in the team, and it's not everyone was like an artist or anything. I was just like, I was the sole 3D modeler and material artist, and everyone like making all the levels and stuff. But I think even that was like really cool to just have like a small team that was all passionate about this one game that we're working on. I think that was very cool. I think online wouldn't have been as fun. You can't go out to lunch together, and you can't just like sit down on the couch at the studio and play the game for a test or something. Like, can't do that. Yeah.
No, like pretty much like last week, I got to meet some of my staff. We went down to Melbourne for the Art Quest event. So we ended up going to that, and we sponsored it. We put on a bar tab. That was like the first time I actually got to spend with my actual staff in person, and we're getting on the drinks and having a good time, and just actually getting some like face to face, which was 2 years I worked with these people and never gotten to meet them because of COVID. I kind of cherished it, to be honest. Like those guys are awesome, and they're my crew. So I think like you do miss it. Like you do. It is nice to actually get out of the house and actually go and have lunch with your co-workers, because I think the one thing I find like working from home can be, it's pretty isolating. I also like, I'd say like with me, probably like the most difficult aspect to it would be kind of, I think, work-life balance, because when I'm working from home, you're like fully immersed in what you're doing. You're not just, you know, it's sort of hard to separate it from, it's your home, it's also your workplace. I don't know, like, what do you guys find? Do you find it pretty easy to switch off, or not really?
No, I felt like when working from home, if you depends on where you have your PC. If it's like in the middle of your living room, for example, your living room is your work, and everybody that goes through your living room is also getting directly affected by it. So they're like, "Oh, don't go in front of my cam," or like, there's a lot of things that people can comment on, like if like I personally don't really like people commenting about my living room, or like saying anything about my personal space, because I don't necessarily like to invite work into my personal space. So like having a webcam, for example, is quite uncomfortable. Because when I work from home, I'm in my comfy clothes and not like going out clothes. And you always get like, oh, are you wearing your morning gown? Like, yeah, I do, but I'm at home. What do you want me to do? So I just like, after a while, I'm just gonna turn off my webcam. And depending on the studio space, like say, oh, you need to have a webcam on all the time, every meeting, like it's just like a little bit, intrusive in my opinion. I don't like it at all. But so yeah, like the work-life balance is going straight out of the window, because you you forget to you live your life. You have your PC and it's on all the time, and you just see work.
I could have a couple of tips that might be able to help you actually.
There's
something that like when COVID started and I started working from home, so the studio, I tried to keep like most of my routines like quite similar. So like get up, you have a shower, and you get dressed. Rather than like wearing home clothes, you'll wear the same sort of clothes, check on your shoes or whatever if you want to go to your desk at home just like you would at work, but you're just in your location at home. And I think apart from like your background, which you can change your background, I guess, with different pieces of software, even if like the software that you use for video conferencing, it doesn't have like a background replacement. There's a NVIDIA plugin that you can get that can do that through the graphics card or whatever. So like there is different ways that you can just like change out your background as well. Because I think, I mean, first of all, that'll help like with your mental state. I think it'll help you make sure like at least you're feeling like clean and presentable, like you're just like you're heading to work. It's just your desk is in a different location. I think that's like quite useful. And then I guess the other thing is like when you have your like your Slack or your messaging service, just make sure that like I know that you could use a Discord instead of like Slack or Microsoft Teams or something for work messages. But I actually think that if you detach Discord from work as much as possible, like if you can move your work chat, like if you're in a small studio, you can control this, right? But if you can detach your work messages off of Discord, so Discord is just still used for like messaging friends for playing a game or something, or like a quick screen share or something, and you're not hearing like the Discord message and then being like, oh, I guess I'm not sure if that's my friend calling or if that's work calling. That's kind of I feel like there's a little bit of anxiety that can come from that, and then it helps tie work and spare time into the same thing, and it's like it's not a good combination, I think. So if you're able to detach those two, even if it's just like the simple thing is a messaging sound or a call sound, I think it's like super helpful. And I mean, that's something that I've struggled with because I've got like just ever so slightly where I've got like messages from, work on Discord as well, and it's hard to it's hard, really hard to separate it if it's the exact same sound, exact same program. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I've been using Slack for all. I will use Slack for everything. Discord is not really used that much. I mean, from what I've used before, at least.
Yeah.
For work. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I can dress myself. I mean, I'm still dressed, but
meetings in pajamas. It's where it's at.
Yeah,
it's cozy.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's one of those like things that you wouldn't go to work in your pajamas, so you don't have that.
I mean, I would.
Studio?
To be honest,
take the train in your pajamas and slippers.
Yeah, man.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
So that's how you know you're winning. It's like
it's more like other people will have a problem with that rather than you have a problem with that. I mean, it's. I mean,
lucky you don't have HR then.
I legit like this dude. I was like Melbourne. I was in Melbourne. This kid's like scootering across the road, and he's like pajamas. I'm like, the dude's in his pajamas. It's like the middle of the day. What? Like,
just woke up.
Yeah, like homie's got like his priorities straight. He knows what's up. So yeah, I know what you mean there. It's not good. I find it, with me, it's very tricky because like right now it's about 10:15 p.m. and I'll have meetings that'll go all the way to like 3 a.m. So I'm
I bet that's hard.
Yeah, so I want to wear something comfortable at least when I get in the evening. Like during the day, I'll wear proper clothes and stuff, and like I'll do the whole work clothes routine. But like in the evenings, it's a lot harder. Like I'll have like my little window, and yeah, I think like that's the biggest issue is like with what I do. It's very difficult to kind of do that separation.
Yeah, I think you're in probably the toughest spot because of the your international time zones and stuff for your meetings and everything is going to be hard.
Yeah, I think. But I don't. That's I guess like that's kind of what you signed up for, right? Ultimately.
Yeah.
Is hoping that one day I can go to sleep at a normal hour. But until then, you're gonna cope with it. I think. What are what are some of like the other things you kind of notice like just as well, like in terms of just, are people as chatty when they're remote, or would you say that like those kind of office chatterboxes or whatever that you normally would have, they're kind of like you don't really get to hear from them as much?
No, yeah, it's very quiet.
I think it really depends on what kind of group you had before the pandemic. If you had like your 5 people that you usually hang out with, you usually chat with each other, and then it breaks down as soon as like 1 or 2 people quit, and you have like just 2 people, then the group gets smaller and smaller. So it's all depending on the circumstances. And also like what kind of friendship group you have in general. But like chatty, like there is usually like general chats where people post stuff in or talk crap or post memes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a tricky spot. One thing I've noticed though, like you see the studio in a very different way. Once you can only it's observe it from like a chat room or from meetings and stuff like that. So you have like a better overview of like, okay, what is the studio actually like, and what is the other people that you usually don't get in contact with like as well. Because once you have everybody's in the same room chatting, you see different people that you never even noticed before. If you are working in a big studio, for example. So it's an interesting experience and an experiment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But really depends on the studio and studio culture.
What about like retention and stuff? Like, I don't know, like, do you find that you got like people that you work with, like in terms of turnover and stuff, you find that like that changes quite often, a lot more now, like since the remote work has kind of become more of a thing, like, actually, like, people would be at a studio much longer than what they are with the current, like, kind of work climate.
What do you mean by people will be out of studio?
Like, I mean...
People quitting and starting new.
Yeah, new positions. Like, employee churn.
I noticed something really interesting. Like, I think if you don't like your current job place, it's hard to go on interviews without you sometimes if you're gonna switch jobs, you don't want your current job to notice that you're going on interviews. At least I feel like I want to have this private and see if there's something for me, and I don't want to involve my current job in the process until I have like made up my own decision.
Yeah.
So it gives people a little bit more opportunity to reach out and have other contacts with studios, like have interviews, because if you're working from home, you have your space, you have your time, and you can access to talk to someone else, some other studio, like easier. So from my experience, more people quit and more people started, so the turnover just like massively increased. But I think it just like working from home gives people more opportunity to venture out a little bit more, like have time for themselves since they are at home. You're not constantly in a studio environment, being constantly pulled into meetings or poked by colleagues about certain things here and there. So it's a little bit more. You have time to think.
I agree that you've got like more of this like flexible time. I guess you're not like pinned to this one specific location and this one room with a bunch of other people in it or something. If you need to take a call for something, like, or go get a package from outside from the delivery guy or whatever, I think you can do that. I think that's cool. But like for like hiring and stuff, I think it may seem like there's just more people leaving, maybe because of pandemic stuff, but I think it's more that there's some studios that are starting to offer like a little bit of a better offer now compared to beforehand. It was a lot more rigid, but now some companies are like, they're able to hire people easier if they give them more flexible rules, whereas like they could come into the studio if they want, maybe they won't, maybe they'll never come into the studio. And I think there's some people that have some artists that are able to maybe take advantage of a studio that might be in somewhere like LA, and they're able to get a really high paying job in LA, but they don't live in LA and they work remotely 100%. So they have the LA salary, but they're not paying for LA rent. So they just get an insane amount of money. It's kind of like it's a little bit of a cheat. I think this is going to probably die down a little bit within the next couple of years, but I think during the pandemic, it's just propped up temporarily, so people are taking these options.
I don't actually necessarily think so, to be honest with you. Like, from my point of view, like we talk, I've been talking to some of my, friends and competitors, etc. And, we're seeing that, people are wanting more competitive salaries, they're wanting more flexibility, and, the hiring really good talent, it is, I don't know, from my point of view, it's a lot more tricky trying to actually get those people, retain them, keep them happy a lot of the time, because I think now that those floodgates have opened and that flexibility is there with those big players, you're competing, especially in the remote working scene, with with
The
people,
big companies now.
with the big companies that have a lot of those resources available to them. And
I guess that's why I was probably on the other side of that, where I was thinking about these big companies, because I'm in a big company, so I was talking on the perspective of our side, I guess, and who might be taking our employees as well. But I guess you're on just remote.
Yeah,
no
but
studio.
I'm talking on that, but I'm also talking like with people that do work at those big companies as well. Like even the big companies are having trouble. Like they're fighting tooth and nail to get those people, because I think a lot of the industry's never been really as relevant as it has, as it is at the moment. Like, people can say what they will about the NFTs and stuff, but a lot of those NFTs have created opportunities for people to go remotely. More people are getting funding for games that they want to make. And I think, I don't know, there's just a lot of money in the industry right now kind of floating around, and people are, taking advantage of that. I think that's what I'm seeing. Just
I think it's also like a point of once you tried something that is very comfortable and very convenient for you, why should you go back to something that's very inconvenient? Say like you want to have a job far away, but you don't really want to move, because it's quite. I mean, in my opinion, it's quite a lot to ask to like, hey, you can get this amazing job over here, but you need to move your whole life over there.
yeah.
And whatever you build, you need to throw it away and start a new one. So it's a lot to ask, in my opinion. I mean, fair question. Like, if you're up for the deal, do it. But to expect it for everyone, I mean, I don't know. You never know, like the circumstances. What the family looks like, or what the connection is. So like you like A, you lose out on an opportunity, and B, you lose out on a very potential hire, like a really good employee that could benefit the studio. But then the other point is like, how do you mix like a remote team with like an in-house team? So will everybody has to go to like their computer to have like a meeting and talk to the people that are remote? I mean, I'm sure there is a solution for it, but then there is a lot of other stuff that we don't really see or understand. Like why do studios have big studio properties where they have a lot of employees in? Well, that's a completely different topic.
Yeah, what I find with that is like you tend to. What I like to do is like I have meetings that are non-negotiable. Like you have to kind of go to those meetings, and then I have those meetings that are just like, hey, look, you're welcome to come to it if you want to, but it's not really like it's not priority. So if it's not priority, like don't worry about it. It's not a necessity for you to be there. It's just more so we're doing that to kind of retain culture, keep people like in the loop as to what's happening in terms of the big picture of what the entire team is doing in the operation. But yeah, it's more so like that sort of thing. I think that's what works, and just making sure that people are kind of on the same page about that. That's really it. I think communication does take a lot longer though with remote teams. Like, you're not operating at the same pace as what you would be as if it was like an in-house studio where everyone is like in the same room, because I think information tends to trail a lot faster when you're in like a room together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Actually, the information is quite. I mean, it's the same if you like, say you want to learn. The best way to learn is just to, approach someone, talk to them. They can show you there's a different contacts between people in that way. A more pedagogic contact.
I'd say like, yeah. Would you?
I definitely agree. I've had the same exact experience. Like the communication's much faster in the studio.
Yeah. I guess like, are you back? Like, are you guys back in the studio yet? Like, I think, well, Ivan, you're probably not because where you're working.
Oh no, I am. It's
you
it's a
are?
3 day in the office and 2 day at home kind of thing.
Okay.
Which is very convenient actually. I do feel it is very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I really like it. Really like it. It's perfect. Like, yeah, and I can also choose like which day I want to go into the office and which day I want to be at home as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any days that are like, I don't know, everyone needs to be here on this date because we've got this big, a couple of meetings that needs everyone in the studio or something?
Yeah. We had Thursdays as like in studio day. But it feels like we are fairly flexible. Like if you really can't come in on a Thursday, we still we still have like a remote option. You can just remote in and listen to the meetings. But not anymore. I think I think they changed it. But I'm not too sure. The whole working from home thing is still like a trial thing. Does it work? Does it not work? What is the issues? What is the try to still figure out like what could be improved, what could be downfall and stuff like that. But so far it's all been very good for us at least. So I mean it feels really good. It feels really good. I can only speak for myself, but it's awesome.
What about?
Yeah, we're in the trial period as well, where it's like we're just gonna test it out a little bit first, but it's complicated with COVID. Like, do you even want to go into the studio yet? And also, I guess for us, we're still building a new studio. Where our old studio is like way too small, seeing that we expanded so much during the pandemic. We can't fit everyone in. So
yeah, that's we are in a similar situation.
So what about like expectations and stuff from work? Like, have they changed the expectations at all when it comes to like the hours or anything like that? And also, like, I think about it, like onboarding, like, say, more junior staff, like, trying to make sure that they're keeping up with the workload. Like, how do you guys find that, when bringing them in?
Yeah, I find like having juniors on solely remote is not a good idea. They need to be they need to feel secure, and that they need to feel as well as they have people around them. And working from home doesn't make you feel that you have anyone around us except for like people poking you on your work chats saying, "Oh, did you see this? Did you need to do that?" So it's not a good environment for juniors, in my opinion. But I mean. That's what I could say from my perspective, but maybe juniors have a different opinion. But I feel that they need like support, mentorship, someone to like be there for them to make them comfortable and make them secure in their work.
Yeah, they definitely need a partner as a junior.
Yeah, absolutely. A mentor, anything. And the best contact there is a physical contact. Well, not physical, but to be either next to each other or in the same building at least. So, what was the other question?
I think like just expectations too. Like has things sort of changed there with hours?
You're still expected to work your 8 hours. You sign in and you sign out. But I mean, the one thing that hasn't changed at all is the work needs to be done, and it needs to be on schedule, somewhat, if everything goes as planned. But the reality is that it kind of goes both ways. Sometimes I work way better at home. I can focus way more, can get more done. whilst at work, there is constantly these like small, uh, you know, uh, side quests, meetings, conversations. So it's not too focused for me, at least personally. I feel that I get too easily distracted in the office rather than when I get at home. But something I noticed that I get done way faster with what I expected to do during that day. So instead of being done at estimated 8 hours, I'm done in 6 hours or 4 hours, and then I tried to find out something else to do. So effectiveness for me, I think effectively you can only work in general like about 6 hours or less, like fully focused and effective on it. Working for 8 hours in general, like even on a studio environment, like you can, how much work do you actually do? It's very hard to say that everybody's working focused for 8 hours straight. But take the average of like 6, maybe 5 hours of effective work.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the the 2-3 hours, what do you do then? So at home, you can you can read into what's going on. You can check the emails. Check maybe some tutorial about what to do and how to do stuff, and learn something new. So I guess that's really good for that stuff. You absorb more information rather than you are at the office, and you're quite locked in. And I kind of felt that as well, like working in an office for very long as well. Like you get the information from people around you, but you don't go on and explore yourself. That's from my experience, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah. I still feel like I'm less distracted at work because everyone's like working. I mean, you still have the side chats and stuff, but it's mainly to quickly help someone if they need help with something, or you yourself need help, which would just end up normally, like if they're not sitting right next to me, I have to send them a message or something and then wait for a response. If they're there, if they're not there, you can't tell sometimes, or if they're in a meeting or something. But I think the small chats are quick. I think they're a little bit faster in person.
Oh yeah,
right next to you.
Yeah, exactly. If you have like a small team you work with together on a specific thing, that's the way better.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like massive meetings that you have to like wait for 20 people, and then 5 people are absent, you have to still prolong the meeting. It spends like 20 minutes just waiting for people, rather than here's the meeting is at 1 or 2. That's the time. You get a notification. Just go to your computer, turn on your meeting, and then there you go. So you don't have like too much idle time or waiting for people to get into the meeting. I personally don't really like meetings at all.
You don't?
Yeah.
You hate meetings?
I don't like meetings.
I
prefer to just like I don't know,
Like a
small
daily
meetings
meeting or whatever is just
Yeah.
like it's I mean, sometimes it's useful to bring up certain things, but I think it's a necessary enough thing, like a very small, quick one. But I think some meetings are important for specialized talks, especially if you need to learn something from someone or get their opinions.
Yeah.
Gotta call them.
The fewer people that are in a meeting, the better the meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't get away from meetings, really. I believe like it'd be weird. A no meeting office, like what?
We don't do meetings here. We just know what to do. Exactly. Yeah, I'll be honest.
You get
like,
salary for knowing.
I kind of prefer my meetings in person, like especially with clients. I think
At the very least, to see people's faces, I think, is important.
Yeah,
It's a little bit weird if it's just a little glowing icon on Discord or something.
well, it's dehumanizing. I find it. I think. But the thing I love about when I get to meet someone face to face, right, is that you get like a really good read on the person, and you get a better idea of, like, you know, obviously you got the face, but you can't really get the full picture of like how the conversation is going. Because like obviously I'm in, you know, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking more so from a sales point of view. Like I want to know exactly, you know, how things are going. I want to see like how that person looks like they're feeling, etc. So then that way you can kind of make sure that you're steering the conversation into a productive direction, not throwing it overboard. And also, like, I think another thing with like online calls too, like if it is just like an icon like that, sometimes you'll get a lot of like people accidentally like interjecting or like, you know, butting into a part of a conversation where someone's just taking a pause and trying to finish what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Or even hit the unmute button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree.
I
guess it's better than just a simple message too. Like, yeah, like at least a webcam's like turned on. At the very least, that's like much more useful for sure. And then in real life I think it's just a step better.
I think the funniest thing I ever had was like we had this meeting, and you know, one of our guys, I don't know, he was, so some of our guys work out of like separate offices and stuff like that, and they, you know, they're working out of an office with other co-workers, because some of them have gone back to their work, because, like, you know, we've got our sister studio, Onyx, and one of them decided to not tell any of the co-workers that they were in a meeting, so they were legitimately like sitting in this meeting, didn't put themselves on mute, and like no one could have a conversation because this person wasn't muted, and it was just like disruptive as hell. Because like nothing's worse than like trying to listen to someone with like a million, like all this background noise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes into again, like when you bring in your office into your home space, you know, like the home space can't. I mean, in my opinion, should not suffer because you're working from home. Like if you have a family, you can't really, you know, control your kids or your spouse to you know, live their life, and then you need to talk, and you know, like people might get annoyed by it, saying, "Oh, you should mute your wife and kids," but you can't. So it's you know, also depending on your living situation. You know, if you live in a big house, then it's a little bit easier. Maybe you have like a separate room. But if you have like, you know, a studio, well, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
That's your life.
If you're working from home, you kind of have to prepare for it in advance rather than be sprung up by COVID, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, maybe you have an office room or something. If you're full-time freelance and you're not going to change, then maybe you need like an office room in your home that you can separate it out.
Yeah. I bet, like, you know, the majority of people working in industry didn't you know, couldn't predict like a pandemic where everybody was sent home to work from. You know, like, oh, hold on a minute. Okay, pandemic. I'm just gonna move. I will save on travel costs, and I will have I can afford a more spacier apartment. No worries. And then, oh, we gotta go back to the office again. I have to spend much more money.
Yeah. If we knew the future, a timeline would have been good, so you can move temporarily for 2 years and then head back.
I just remember like a lot of arguments, like when I was younger, when I was still living with, like, you know, I moved back and basically I was living with my folks. I remember like the TV being up like super loud, and I'm trying to have a work call, and like it's coming through, and I'm like, guys, can you please like it was like a nightmare. And I think like the best thing was when I finally got my own place and I had like my own space, etc. Like I don't live with anybody, I just keep it, you know, it makes it so much easier to try and get work done, because, you know, you don't have the background noise, you can just focus and do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. I think something that I kind of miss from like working in the studio is actually just the fact that you're like physically out of your house. You're going somewhere. You're going to a location, and like it's something that you get to do every day. It's not just like, oh well, I guess I can go out and do this thing here or whatever. Like I feel like I stay inside way too much now because of the pandemic.
Really?
Just kind of sucks.
You
I
don't
really want to
ever
just go out again.
you don't ever like go out for like a walk or anything like on the park to the park when
I'll do this stuff, but nothing forces me out like I would normally be doing. I kind of, at least it depends on like the location of your studio and how long it takes you to get to work too. Because if it's like a nice 10-minute walk, I think that's probably the best situation. Get a nice walk in the morning and evening, and then if your studio's like in the city or something, you can go and do stuff throughout the day. And I don't know, it's not like, nah, I'm actually just sitting at home throughout the day instead. I don't know. I just miss that. That's probably just a personal preference, but that's what I think at least.
What about you, Ivan?
I'm a really boring person. I'm okay with just being at one place at all the time. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I mean, I'm really irregular. Anyway, I'm okay with a lot of stuff. I'm okay with like working from home for a long period of time, and I'm also okay with like working in the office. I'm also okay with like mixing. Yeah, it still won't stop me from like doing what I want to do on my spare time. Or like I also have a hard time feeling bad as well. I don't know, like maybe I'm that boring, so I've like completely forgot how to feel good or. That's really bad. But no, but
I don't feel anything. I'm so empty.
My life is work. I've come to terms with it. I can accept it. No, but I mean, I don't feel depressed or anything like that. For me, at least, if I need to go out, I will go out. If I need to stay home, I will stay home. And I kind of like feel I have control over my life and my well-being.
More control. I think you're right. Like you do get a lot more control working from home.
Yeah.
And I think my thing is just a personal preference. I want an excuse to like something to force me outside rather than me just being like, just go outside, do something, do like that. That's not a reason. Like, oh, I'll just stay inside then. I'll stay home.
Yeah.
Just have a lot of mirrors around in your apartment. Say like, oh shit, maybe I should go out.
Yeah. I swear to God, like,
all right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The highlight of my day is when I get to go like to the supermarket. For some reason, I love the supermarket. I don't know why. Like I just enjoy walking around the supermarket and getting groceries. I'm like, all right, let's go get some groceries. Like I don't know why.
It's an adventure. It's an adventure.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
Yeah, like what am I cooking tonight? Like what am I gonna be making for dinner? That's like I don't know.
Oh, you do that too? Like you just go into the supermarket, like, I'm gonna make a menu right now. I'm just gonna go through the stall, pick stuff that kind of fancy in color, and just do something with it.
And I'm specifically ensure that I only pick the food for that night. I don't buy any more food except for the single day that I am going to buy for. And like everyone goes like, why would you do that? You waste so much time. And I'm like, legit, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be out of the house. Like I would go nuts.
Yeah. I can't eat the same food like 2 days in a row. It would just make me nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I can't do it.
I mean, like, preparing like my whole week in advance, and like, to like Mondays, like pasta. Tuesdays tacos, like Taco Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about that. Like I want a surprise. It's spontaneity of going to the store and just picking something.
Yeah, you just like you watch some YouTube cook along with Gordon Ramsay and just get inspired for the next day. Like I'm gonna have that, and just go into the store and just get it,
Yeah.
and repeat it for the next day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the small things that kind of like makes your brain not go completely moldy, I believe.
Yeah. It's I guess like for me like now it's sort of weird, hey, like when I got back from that trip, like from Melbourne on Monday, it for me it was like holy shit, like I just feel so rejuvenated.
Yeah.
Like I feel
want one of
refreshed.
those.
I don't know, Jake. Time to book a flight, man. Come home.
Like $2,000 for a almost one trip flight or one-way flight.
You just bought a house too, hey. So it's a bit.
Yeah. I mean, of course, any money I want to chuck towards there. But I'm planning to come down to Australia probably this year if there's no war.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
No world war. That seems
to be on the cards. I had a client that goes like, "Oh, you're gonna be coming to Sweden for this thing," and I'm like, I'm probably going to avoid Europe area, like the European area, for a good amount of time at the moment. I like, even flying, I'm a bit hesitant about, being in the air because I don't know what the hell could be happening.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm even scared about being in a plane for like an extended period of time because I don't know. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. So
yeah. If it happens, it goes really quickly. Same with the pandemic. It just happened and like, oh fuck, I'm in this situation now. What am I gonna do? Well,
yeah.
It's not always
If you get
convenient.
hit by a missile, then it's a really quick death. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just get adapted to like the gravity and see if
yeah.
I'll see you. I'll probably see you on the other side if we get drafted, boys.
Yeah. Well, we're on the same side, right?
I hope so. Sheesh.
No, it's scary though. Like, I wonder like what if. Yeah, I mean this is a quite interesting topic though. Like we had the industry during a pandemic. How is the industry gonna be if it would potentially be a war? What would actually happen?
Well, that's what I'm kind of curious about too. Like, well, does that mean that like all this good like work and this big boom, is that all gonna basically burst if it all goes to shit? Because like, I don't think anyone's gonna be too preoccupied about trying to entertain themselves with the game. I think more people are going to be more worried about like what's happening outside if things do go like kind of haywire.
Also like will games that are revolving around war also like will they change it like we don't feel like doing war games anymore because it's too real now.
That's very fair because we didn't live through like at least I'm talking on behalf of myself. At least I didn't live through a world war, so I'm not really sensitive to it.
Yeah, no. I think it's too far away for us, like especially in Europe. I mean, it's always been conflicts, but it's never been like in the West. It's like as serious as it is right now since the 70s or 60s.
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting point of it. Like, what will be the future game genres if it will be too real?
I think
will people be like, no, if there is a gun in a game, I'm not playing it. Fuck it, I've seen too much.
Yeah, I think I just remember like my grandparents on my dad's side, like they wouldn't mention it, they wouldn't talk about it at all. Like it was no, we're never gonna speak of it again sort of thing. It was like, no, it's done. We never want to hear about it. So I don't know, that's what I feel like will probably be the eventuality if there is that, I think like people are just gonna want to remove it from their minds, and move on. But
maybe it would be a good thing to start right now. Just like make up game design that are not shooting anything or driving over anything with a tank.
But we've only got about 5 minutes, so I don't want to bog it down too much with the convo. But like just to keep it kind of short, I'd say like that's kind of been happening a lot more now though. Anyway, I think people are kind of moving away from those sort of titles, and I think
it may just because Call of Duty is like releasing every year and keeps doing the same sort of thing. I think it's fine, but I think the genre of FPS shooters are like super fun. I don't think they're going away soon, or third person either.
Yeah, but I think the market's been going with more diversity in terms of like the type of titles that have been getting like praise. Like look at Elden Ring. Look at I think strategy games are kind of coming back because there really hasn't been a lot of those like on the market lately, and I think more people are sort of wanting those games. I think in terms of people that want to work on games, a lot of people want to work on shooters just because of like the level of detail that you get to work at.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah,
you know it. Making your
it.
Yeah.
Well, I work on large scale, to be fair, large scale scenes, so
yeah,
it's a little different, but yeah.
But the tech, man, you get to work on that crazy tech. That's the dream.
Yeah, it's cool shit. Very cool.
I'm probably gonna end the podcast or the stream at this point. But I want to just say like thanks for coming on, Jake.
Yeah, that's all good. All good.
Great talking to you, mate.
Thanks, Ivan, as well. I just want to we hope to get you back. Mentorships they've commenced for the March mentorships. We'll soon be looking at getting our next round of April mentorships underway. Ivan, like how are you just since we got a couple minutes, like how have you been finding the first round?
Oh, great. It feels really good to help people, guide them, give them some mentoring. It really feels at home for me, actually. I wanted to do something like this for a very long time, but now I feel I have like the room and focus on it. So it feels great, and I hope the mentees are feeling that they get what they want and what they need.
Yeah, I think I'd say what I'm probably looking at doing at a later point is trying to get an episode where we kind of sit them down and just talk about kind of the experience that they've been going through and just how they feel like they've been benefiting from just having you guys there as that kind of support system. I don't think that would hurt either.
Yeah.
Jake, obviously you do your own teaching through Vertex as well.
Yeah. I'm pretty much doing the same thing, yeah.
So
it's really, really fun.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right. We'll catch everyone next time, and thanks for tuning in.
Sweet, see you then.
Yeah. See you guys.